Hello again, everyone. Um, I'm glad to have you here. This is something I don't think anyone has seen. It was a Koran that I drew for a Danish publisher, and I did about a dozen double-page spreads, things that happen in the Quran. I drew the cover here, which is paradise, Islamic paradise. I show the houris, which are the virgins. Also, it's inside as well. You can't see it here. You can see a little here. The boys as beautiful as pearls. That's how it's described in the Quran. It almost leads you to believe that Muhammad was trying to appeal to gays as well. It's possible. Because he had the 72 virgins for the heterosexuals, and he had boys as beautiful as pearls who would serve you. Or, I guess female jihadists, even though it's not as common. But yeah, so in the Islamic paradise, you know what? I'll wait until I show you the actual full-page spread of this scene in the actual book. Because in the paradise, the idea is they have liquor, but it doesn't give you a buzz. You can eat everything and anything you want, and you can never have to go to the bathroom. As Super Jihad puts at one point, he goes about you can live, he goes, life ends. He's talking to Pigman. Life ends, but death lasts forever. That's the idea that these creatures have. So check it out. I should tell you the origin of the book. Kare Bluitkin, I believe that's his name. I'm probably saying it, botching it. Sorry, but that's all I know. By the way, my name's also on the cover and in the title page, which is pretty cool. I designed this thing as well, the symbol. But this was published 4 years ago, maybe. I think 4 years ago. I did an interview for this. I remember for a Danish radio station, and they were going to transcribe the interview. And they did, and then they didn't release it. And because they said it was too controversial, I was like, wait a minute, you interviewed me for the book. Why not just transcribe the interview and publish it? And there was one writer on staff who was really pissed off. He thought it was a betrayal of free speech of the institution. And they ended up publishing it about three months later. I forgot the name of the place. But let me just tell you how this came to be. It was Kare Bluitkin. He is a writer, and he was in 2005. He basically sparked what ended up being called the Muhammad cartoon crisis, if you recall, the Danish cartoons. He was looking for artists to draw Muhammad. He couldn't find anyone. Fleming Rose, a publisher, ended up, a writer and also a publisher, ended up finding some artists for him to draw Muhammad. And then, it sparked this international, crisis, quote unquote, where I think at one point 140 Muslims were killed and they were trampled by other savage Muslims going wild over it. It's insane. They threatened the cartoonist with death for doing it. And that's when I first began drawing Muhammad. It was 19 years ago. I was raised Muslim, but I didn't know about the prohibition of drawing Muhammad. That was never mentioned in my household. Again, we were pretty passive Muslims, besides, as I often point out, the extreme Jew hatred and misogyny. And also the hatred of the pig. We never ate pork. That's why I created Pigman, but he was responsible for that, right? Not responsible for the actions of the savages, but what I'm saying is for what came to be the cartoon crisis. So years later, I guess 15 years later, 14 years later, he was still looking for an artist to draw the Koran to make illustrations for his adaptation of the Quran for a younger audience, for young Danes. And he was looking for, I don't know how many years. And when I found out, I contacted him and said, hey, I'll do it. He goes, yeah? Because he was not able to get anyone. And that, to me, it's almost hard to believe, because at a certain point, you think someone else has got to do this stuff, right? I know that Charlie Hebdo was doing with Jar Muhammad, but they even gave that up. I know some individuals over the years did it, but it's shocking to me that this guy, after years, he couldn't get anyone. So I just jumped at the opportunity. I said, hey, I've been Jar Muhammad for years anyway, so I might as well do this. He goes, okay, good. So I ended up doing it. And this is the result of that. So let me just show you some of the stuff in here. These are some of the... That's one of my first drawings of Allah. So not only have I drawn Muhammad, I've drawn Allah. Now, we don't know about what the penalty is, but I assume it's death as well. And these are some of the characters in this novel, as I call it. This also, you got people here, you got the Pharaoh, you have Muhammad there. And that's the writer, Koran, that's me. I drew us for the book. I can't read Dutch. I don't know it, but I assume it says what I do. And yeah. Okay, so let me just show you the title page. This is my drawing of Allah coming out of the imagination of Muhammad, coming out of his head. I thought that was an interesting way to draw what the situation is. You know, it's his fantasy, it's his imagination. This entire thing, and I was listed there as well, which is really, you know, I really appreciate it, because I'm proud to be involved with something like this that no one else would touch. It took them years to get a. As soon as I found out, I jumped at the chance. I want to do this stuff. I want to defy the savages, and I want to defend free speech to the death, if necessary. Okay, so this is, I guess it's referred to as Abu Lahab, hell. This is Islamic hell. I try to make it as fiery and brutal as possible, even though, you know, I don't have to get into the details of melting flesh or whatnot, but I think it's effective on its own with the white heat of the center. And I believe it's supposed to be the guy's wife bringing more wood to burn hotter. And there are these snakes on the trees, there. I thought that was a pretty effective way to convey it. And then there's next one is Doomsday. I think it was listed as Doomsday. I try to make it look as hellish as possible, with the skulls and the tombstones and the animals running, bloody, lightning, rain. Let's see what's next. This is Islamic heaven, if not paradise. It's and even in Islamic heaven, the angels are violent, killing demons, and that's Allah. That's my first. I think that's the first drawing I made of Allah, and then I made that one as well, the one here. But this is the first clear image I ever drew of Allah. Try to make him look like a Muslim, more or less. And they're, praising him, praising Allah, right? Let's see what's next. Moses parting the seas, because in the Koran, he stole from Muhammad stole from the Jews and Christians, stole from their holy books, and tried to get them to convert to the true faith, because he's the final prophet, right? And they laughed him off. They thought it was a joke, and pissed him off. He was very aggressive at a certain point where they kicked him out of Mecca. Then he went to Medina, spent some time there, and then him and his gang, the limited gang that he had, he started to rob caravans, Jewish caravans. When they got enough money, they started to get more followers, because like, hey, this gang is a little different. This religious gang is a little different than the other gangs. You can actually steal and lie and cheat and then ultimately kill. So that's the one innovation, if you want to call it, that Muhammad gave to religion, the doctrine of warfare, jihad. And I've had arguments with former Jewish friends of mine who were atheists, like me. I left Islam, they left Judaism, but they maintained this idea. It's a myth that, hey, Judaism has its own form of jihad. Christianity does. I said, really? Give me the name of these doctrines of warfare within those religions, and they never could. And it's, I shut them down pretty quick. I reject all religion, but the point is that there's no religion like Islam. There's no prophet like Muhammad. It's a fact. There's no God like Allah. This is fire from the sky. I'm assuming Allah punishing people. I'm assuming. I don't remember exactly. But I believe that's it. People are running from their homes. The angel Gabriel, who ends up coming to Muhammad and reciting the Koran to him. Let's see what's next. Next thing is the three goddesses. I don't know exactly if that's kosher with Islam, calling others goddesses besides Allah. But I believe that was the idea, that it was these three goddesses floating in the air. Wise, I guess. I just wanted to make them look a little interesting. Again, I had no reference for this. I would just use my imagination based on the Quran, the passages. Kyrie has read it. I've read it a number of times, but I don't remember, too much of it. This was, what was it? This was called, excuse me. Let me get this right. Okay. This was called, what was it? Solomon with his army. Solomon and his army. And I was trying to convey, all these ants, maybe some roaches in there as well. Chaos, monsters, ghouls. Trying to make them like interesting looking. I think a little cartoony. I had some fun with this. Demon style, like feral demons. and the color, green is the color of Islam. And I emphasize that here. Let's see what's next. Okay. This is Muhammad trying to proselytize at the Kaaba. And this is my interpretation of what the Kaaba was like back then, over 1,400 years ago, because the Kaaba, the big black box in Mecca, was the home of many faiths, right? Hundreds put together, and they all had their symbols, and I believe they were within this structure. I guess you could walk into it, right? But for this, I decided, I asked the writer, I said, how about if I just make some kind of symbols that are entirely around the structure? He goes, that sounds good. So again, I took some liberties here, but I thought it was an interesting way to do it. And also I gave Muhammad a little reddish beard, because he used to dye his hair. He dyed his hair, I think with henna they called it. So it's a little reddish, a little red tinge. And from what I gather also, technically speaking, people say he was a white man. You know, he was pretty light skinned. So here he is trying to proselytize, right? And some of them are taken seriously and some of them are having a laugh. I mean, look at that guy. He's dying laughing. I thought that was pretty fun. So I drew Muhammad a few times within here. Here's Noah's Ark, my version of it. It's in the Quran as well. Got the people there. You got the double animals. It's fun stuff. It was fun to draw. I try to give it a different look than my usual work. It's a little less comic booky, I think, some of it at least. Here's a pharaoh. I like how that came out. Even though from that angle, he probably is going to fall over, if I think about it. But I did want to show some of, more of his body than it would otherwise. So it's a gamble to draw something like this. You want to get it authentic, but also you want to show off the pose and the body. I like how the color came out big time. Okay, this is the part of the Quran where Jews are turned into apes and pigs. But this section, the writer told me, can I draw them as apes? And I did. And they're in utter shock. Because that's how they dehumanize Jews within the Quran. That they are referred to a few times as the descendants of apes and pigs. That's how they make it easier for themselves to kill Jews, to hate Jews, because they're not human, right? This is paradise. This is a clear, even though you can't see. Okay, you see one of the boys as beautiful as pearls, as referred to in the Quran, as I mentioned earlier. And these good-looking birds flying through. And these houris, what a name, houris, like whores. These 72 virgins. They're getting massaged. They're giving massages. And they're going to pleasure them for all eternity as far as they're concerned. And all these guys, killed in the name of Allah to get to this point, according to the Quran. And they can't get drunk again. Wine doesn't affect them. Food, they can eat as much as they want. Never get fat, even though I drew some of them as fat. Let's see what else. I got a few more. Okay. There's this idea also that in the Quran, Jesus was not crucified. That was just some other guy, right? The real Jesus floated to heaven with the angel Gabriel, according to Islam. Why? Because he's a Muslim prophet. A Muslim prophet can't go down like that on the cross. He's got to ascend to heaven. So the Islamic version of Jesus is better, pure, superior, as far as they're concerned, to the one that goes down on the cross. And they're always reacting, it's like they're always reacting to what the Jews and Christians did anyway. It's such a reactionary religion. It really is. This is Muhammad's harem with his wives and concubines and whores, and some of them were Jewish as well. And this is Aisha being brought in. He married her, quote unquote, at 6, and then he raped her at 9. According to Islamic texts, not Islamic critics' texts, or posts, or tweets, or Islamic texts. And he refers to her as his, quote-unquote, favorite wife. Think about that. She's the most submissive, probably. That's why she was his favorite. And when he said he went and looked, and he peered into hell, right? And he told his wives that most of the inhabitants of hell are women. And they asked him why. He said, because they don't listen to their husband. Unbelievable. But yeah, that's in probably Hadith. Crazy. And the other women are not pleased with it. The fact that that's his favorite wife. Let's see what else. Christians versus Muslims at war. I guess you can call it crusaders. And, I've had some fellow atheists who get angry at me for saying that the Crusades were a response to the jihads, and they were. Muslims sacked Jerusalem. The Pope at the time said, this can't stand. We have to do something about this. We have our beliefs, we have our ideals, but we can't let this stand. So they went to war. They drove back the Muslims. And then, unfortunately, they started driving back Jews and killing Muslims and killing Christians that they didn't think were Christian enough. And it got bloody and disgusting, like any holy war. But it ended after 200 years, right? And people talk about the Crusades today, say the Crusades have been over for 1,000 years. The jihads never ended. They're still going on today. Still. And we know every week there's like sometimes a few hundred that are murdered across the world in the name of Islam. How many are murdered in the name of Christianity and Judaism? I'd like to ask my former Jewish friends who are now atheists. They say Jews have their own jihad. Where is that jihad? Where? In the stats. So I just wanted to show you that. It's something that I've never shown anyone before. It wasn't in the, I don't know. I showed a little maybe here and there, but you guys got to see my entire drawings for this. So it's interesting to have this on my bookshelf as well. I got a number of books. I got a number of book covers for David Horowitz, for some other authors. Publications I've done, magazine covers. But yeah, this is one of the most unique things that I've done that's been published out there. So thanks for watching, everyone. And if you can, subscribe if you haven't. If you could like and let people know. I'll be doing this often, just showing my work, showing other work. I'm also going to, as I said in my last episode, where I want to show you why Alex Toth is the greatest comic book artist ever. I can tell you till the end of time, but I just want to show you because the art really speaks for itself. I'll clearly comment on it, but so that'll be coming soon. Thanks again, and you take care.